Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. It's the last day of September. We're here in Southeast Texas. The temperature is in the high 50s, which is pretty cool for us. Just the other day it was 98 degrees. And it's about 10 minutes to 4 in the morning. So why in the world would I pick such an early kickstand up time? Well, the plan was to go from Southeast Texas to Florida for lunch. We were going to ride across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, eat lunch at Pensacola and come back. But Florida got hit with a hurricane. And Pensacola I don't think was affected, but I was a little concerned about evacuees returning home today and getting caught in that traffic. So our alternate route is to do a lunch ride to Arkansas. So that's the current plan. Of course, a couple of the guys that are going on the ride are already here. I know we have at least, I think, one more. I'm going to check with them and see if they'd rather do a shorter ride. But I'd already set the early kickstand up time to go to Florida, so I didn't want to change the kickstand up time. Let's see. I've got you on the World Wide Web. Are y'all ready for this adventure?
Ready. Make it happen.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
You're hungry already?
Hey.
We may have to stop and eat breakfast somewhere along the way. This was a lunch. Somebody posted or commented on social media that this may be a breakfast, lunch, and dinner ride by the time it's over, because we'll do a good 800 miles today probably, or I will by the time I get back home to China, Texas. So I'll take you along on the ride, and I'm going to talk to guys and see if we want to do an alternate route too, and of course I'll let you know what we decide. Well, this is our first stop, St. Augustine, Texas. We're about 100 miles into our journey. It definitely got colder the farther north we went. It dipped down to about 48 a couple of times. We probably still got another 250 miles to Wilhemina, Arkansas. I don't think I wore enough clothes. I didn't expect it to get down into the 40s. My dash showed 48 degrees twice.
Yeah, it's cool. 47.
So I'm ready for the sun to come up, but that may be, well, I don't know, it's 6 o'clock. I thought it'd be getting lighter by now, but
no, about 6:40.
Yeah, so it'll be cold for a little while longer. At least it'll feel better when the sun comes up. Whether it'll be any warmer or not, I don't know. Well, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. We made it all the way to Texarkana. We're still about 100 miles, I think, or so from Mina. It's warmed up. The weather's beautiful. It was definitely cold earlier, but as soon as that sun came up, it started feeling better. Having a great time. I'm eager to get into some little mountains because we live down on the Texas Gulf Coast where everything's flat. So it'll get exciting as we make our way north. Well, we left Orange, Texas at 4 o'clock this morning. It is 11:20. We are in Mena, Arkansas. So it took us, 7 hours and 20 minutes or so to get here. We're going to ride up to the Queen Wilhelmina State Park and eat lunch up there at the lodge on top of the mountain. For those of us that live on the Texas Gulf Coast, it is absolutely beautiful. Beautiful here in Arkansas. I know there are other mountains in other parts of the country, but for us to be able to travel, I don't know, 350 miles, 7 hours to see this, for us it's worth the drive. We're going to stop here at a little photo op. There's a cool little gas station here in the middle of Mina. We're going to go up, as I said, on top of the state park, go on into Oklahoma, probably come down through Broken Bow, Oklahoma. And of course we'll make our way back to Southeast Texas. I always look forward to this ride. It is a beautiful ride. I usually come up here once a year for a pastor's retreat, and I always ride up the Talamina, I think it's Talamina National Scenic Byway. But it is a beautiful road, popular motorcycle destination. I've seen other YouTube channels feature this road. One of my favorite YouTube channels, of course, is Adam Sandoval, and I've seen him, ride this road. So we'll stop up here at the little photo op and then make our way up up the mountain. I believe the photo op I was referring to is up here on the left somewhere. Unless it's on one of the other streets. No, there it is. Kind of a old-timey looking gas station. I always like to get a photo of my motorcycle here. Maybe we can get a photo of all four of our bikes. Kind of reminiscent of back in the day. Let me get my phone out here so I can take some pictures. Hey, it's really a cool little gas station. Got old cars in the bays and of course the pumps. So let me get my camera out and take some photos. Alright, here we go. For those of us that live on flat land, this is really incredible. You people that live in the mountains, I hope y'all don't take this for granted because it is beautiful. Of course, just the curves are fun for us to ride, and then you throw the hills on top of the curves, and then the scenic view. Boy, if I lived in Arkansas, every day off I'd be riding these mountains. Sound like my belt's chirping a little bit, and I had my bike serviced before I came. He said my belt tension was good, so I know sometimes these Indians, when it's cold or the belt gets wet, they'll chirp a little bit. At least my first Indian was really bad about a chirping belt. There's 4 in our group today. 2 of us have ridden this road before. 2 have not. As soon as we get at one of these scenic overlooks over here, I'll pull over, maybe take some more pictures. I came up here one year, it was so foggy I couldn't hardly see anything one morning. I mean, the scenic views, everything, it was like I was just riding in the clouds. I think here's the first scenic overlook here. I don't know how many of the guys that want to get off and take photos at these scenic overlooks. I'll probably at least one of them want to get a photo. This is not stuff we see every day, that's for sure. Oh wow, that's so pretty. See a valley down there. I don't know if anybody want to take you pictures.
I love the mountain.
Any of y'all want to take any? Y'all gonna take any pictures or? Maybe so. Of course, it seems like around every curve is another scenic overlook, but I don't know how many of these scenic overlooks y'all wanted to stop and look at or take pictures. Seems like around every curve is another scenic overlook, but we don't see this every day, that's for sure. Wow. People's pasture land down there, forest. And that's pretty. Foliage is just barely starting to change. It is the last day of September. We may need to come back in the fall when the foliage is really turning. If I stop at every scenic overlook, it'd probably take us all day to ride this one road, and we've still got 7.5 hour ride back home when we get done. But I'll probably stop at least one more. And of course, the state park, there's a pretty scenic overlook there. I'm looking in my rearview mirror to make sure everybody got pulled out. I see 1, 2, 3. There's the 4th bike. One year I was here with a CMA pastor's retreat, and one morning I woke up early and I rode this, whoa, a little, I didn't expect that bump. There's another scenic overlook. I rode this road at a, well, fast pace for me. I'm not used to mountain roads, and I was coming down one of the hills and I kind of crossed the double yellow lines there. Of course, I could have probably just really got on the brakes really hard and prevented that from happening, and I could see there were no cars coming, but that got my attention. After that, I thought I need to ride these roads a little slower, since I have almost no experience riding mountain roads except rare occasions like this. Oh man, these curly curves are nice with the view to the right. Curve after curve after curve. Up we go. 30-mile-an-hour curve, so it says. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, it would have been cool to be able to get my little map out and color in Alabama and Florida, because I've already done a lunch ride in Mississippi. So it would have been fun today to have ridden to Florida, but it's hard to beat this. Oh man, there's another scenic overlook, but we'll probably get that similar view when we get up here to the state park. I've mentioned on one of my other videos that Queen Wilhelmina, I assumed, was a indigenous person of North America, but that is not correct. She was a queen in one of those European countries. I've done forgot now which one. I guess some of the settlers here must have been from, I want to say the Netherlands, maybe? A Dutch queen? I don't really remember now. I should have looked that up before we came. Maybe there'll be a historical marker up here that'll tell us. Of course, these are not, the largest mountains in the country, but in my opinion, they're really, and again, they're gorgeous, especially compared to the Texas Gulf Coast, where, now if you love the beach, we're not at far, well, I live in China, Texas. We're not, trying to remember now, not much, well, we're more than 30 miles from the beach, but we're definitely less than an hour from the beach. I love the twisties. Absolutely love the twisties. But see, there's cars coming. I'm almost afraid a car will round one of these curves crossing the line. First time I came to Arkansas and was riding these roads kind of aggressively, I realized, when I'm leaning to the left, turning left, my head was hanging over that yellow line. I thought, that wouldn't be very good. Another scenic overlook. More curves, more curves. More little twisties. Over 20 years ago, came to Arkansas and I think we spent about 5 days, maybe the whole week. Oh, there's some view right there. A lake down there. Gorgeous. Like I said, like I was saying, about over 20 years ago, I spent either 5 days or a whole week in Arkansas, sleeping in a little two-man dome tent and riding the roads. I actually stayed in Eureka Springs on that motorcycle ride. I don't know if they want to get any more pictures or not, but we'll pull in just in case. I'll stop. Wow, it's pretty. I don't know if y'all want any more pictures or not. I can get this big thing in the line. I think I can. I love touring bikes, but they're not light. Now normal riding, you don't notice the weight. Just doing little stuff like this, you can feel that weight. There we go. So I got my blinker on. Wow. So I got a lake down there. I'm amazed every time I come. Every time I come. Of course, up here people get a little carried away with the graffiti, but I guess they're leaving their mark. He'll get there in a minute. Wow, that's pretty. So Danny, is this better scenery than we would have saw going to Florida?
Yeah.
Now going along that long bridge going to Florida would have been fun.
Chapelari River Basin?
Isn't there another one, Mobile or somewhere? Is that the one you're talking about?
I think the longest one, it's like 20 miles.
Oh yeah.
That's Chapelari River Basin. Claim there's a new thing that they know how long it takes to get from point A to point B all the way across there, and they take your picture of your vehicle, and if you get across too soon, they'll send you a ticket.
Ah, like if you ride on the toll road without your Easy Pass, they mail you a bill.
There's no evidence of that.
What's that, the Chapelari Basin Bridge?
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I hadn't heard anybody's gotten a ticket, so.
You know, I traded my Street Glide in on my Roadmaster, and about a year later, I get one of those things in the mail with a picture of the Street Glide, and you know, you owe so much for driving on the toll road.
Oh, yeah.
And like I called him, I said, I sold that bike a year ago. I had to go to the courthouse and fill out an affidavit.
As soon as you sell it, you're supposed to call them and cancel your Easy Tag.
Well, I didn't even have an Easy Tag.
Oh.
Neither did the person that was riding it that still had my license plates on it. And I traded it to a dealership. I don't know why the dealership didn't take care of the the tag transfer. Unless somebody paid cash and, you know, we're taking it out of state or something. Pretty scenery.
Sometimes the government's a little slow.
Yeah, if we'd have brought our spray paint cans, we could have left our mark on Arkansas there. Look at all the graffiti. Let's see if I can get out down here with this hill. I don't think it's going to be too bad. Make sure nothing's coming the other direction. Looks good. I think I won't stop at another Scenic Overlook, because there'll be a nice Scenic Overlook up here at the Queen Wilhelmina State Park. Have other opportunities to take pictures and enjoy the view. Now when we leave here and go into Oklahoma, I usually just go to about where the state line is, which isn't really too terribly far. And I don't even know if I've really gone maybe one intersection past it at that, if at all. And then I've, of course, always turned around and came back because I was staying in Mena. So it'll be kind of fun to go on into Oklahoma. I never really thought of mountains in Oklahoma, but this little mountain range here in Arkansas is also up, I think, in Missouri and the eastern part of Oklahoma. Went in and turned my navigation on so I could see where the curves are, because I need to be watching the road, not my navigation. One morning I came up here, I was again at the CMA Pastors Retreat. I think I counted over 20 deer that morning. It was early that morning, and I thought I'll go on a quick ride before we start our morning session. Matter of fact, most years I come, that's usually in the spring when I come to the Pastors Retreat, but I almost always see deer on this particular road. course, where we live down on the Texas Gulf Coast, we do see some deer, but we sometimes see alligators crossing the road, or a dead alligator on the shoulder that's been hit by a car. Well, that was kind of a culture shock to me moving to Southeast Texas, where you see wild alligators. At one point I lived at High Island, Texas, down on the Gulf Coast. And there was a bird sanctuary down there that I've seen more than 30 alligators all in one little small area. Of course, I've always, thought of alligators just moving very slow, because they're usually just, laying out in the sun, but they can run extremely fast. They can catch you if they want to. In a short distance, they can outrun you. More curves, more curves. Of course, I rode almost 40 miles from China over to Orange to our kickstand up location. The two of the folks in our group live right there around Orange, and the other one doesn't live far from Orange. So I may have a few more miles in the saddle today than the other three, but not too many. I think I'll pass the 800-mile mark today. And the most I've ridden on this particular motorcycle in a single day is about 650 miles. And usually at 650 miles, I'm pretty spent. We'll see how I do today, a little over 800 or so, for sure over 700. I know when I went to Colorado last summer, did a 650 mile day and about a 450 mile day. There's another pretty scenic overlook. Of course, that was all interstate, and I don't know, running 80 miles an hour can fatigue you too. I really enjoyed this ride up here. I don't mind going through the small towns and stopping at the red lights, and I can certainly stand up and stretch my legs every time I get caught by a light. Of course, you don't make as good a time between the red lights and just a slower speed limit. I've got my visor open, enjoying the nice air. Hopefully it's not affecting my microphone too much. I almost think when I close my visor it seems to have more wind noise. Let me see. See, I can hear a wind roar with it closed. Of course, maybe you can hear the audio better with it closed. I'm not sure. I just saw a sign for Queen Wilhelmina State Park. I gotta be careful I don't get to sit here, get to talking, and blow right by the entrance. I think the entrance is pretty well marked though. Yeah, this lodge 1.5 miles. Yeah, I haven't seen a deer yet. I don't know if they're more movement in the morning and the evening than they would be. Here it is 11:52. So we're going to time it pretty good about eating. If we eat lunch here at the lodge, and that's kind of the plan, we kind of timed it pretty good. I mean, a 4 o'clock kickstand up time is pretty crazy, but some of my friends, they do kickstand up at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking, man, you've done wasted a couple of 3 hours of riding time. You're burning daylight. I really like a 7 o'clock kickstand up, maybe 6:30, depending on what time the sun comes up. I mean, we did ride a couple hours in the dark, well, a good 2.5 hours in the dark this morning, and not real crazy about that because we have a lot of deer in Southeast Texas like you do up here in Arkansas. Of course, if I lived up here, I might ride these roads too fast. That probably wouldn't be a good thing. I mentioned this on one of my other videos. One year I was up here and I went to turn on a curvy road. Here's the entrance, and I got behind a log truck, and I thought, oh gee, great. In East Texas, log trucks go at a snail's pace. Well, the driver of that log truck must have been from Arkansas. He was flying. I could barely keep up with him on my motorcycle. I hope the lodge restaurant is open this time of day because I'm hungry. This time of day, this time of year, I don't know if it's seasonal. I've been to places before where, my luck, I'd show up and it would be closed for a remodel or something. This would be a cool place to camp and ride. I still got to bring a dome tent up here. There's bikers that beat us here. Yeah, Arkansas is a very popular biker destination. I see at least one Indian in that group. See if I can back in here. I usually see bikers and say, oh, more biker trash, but I can't be talking about my people like that. I guess they did. Other folks in my group didn't think there was enough room to park here. I wonder where they're parking. Maybe I'll go park with them if I can get up this hill. Yeah, they found more room. Eddie. There's another scenic overview. We back in. You wouldn't want to try to back out of a parking spot, these 800, 900 pound motorcycles. We try to be conscious so we don't park downhill. Now my wife would ride a road like this with me if I trailered the bike here. She wouldn't want to ride, I know she wouldn't want to ride 7.5 hours to get here. I usually complain about the heat that this motor puts out, but it was cold this morning. The heat felt good coming off this engine. Let's see if I can get back in here. The lodge at the Queen Wilhelmina State Park. Get another photo up here with our bikes and the scenic view. Wow, what a view.
Arkansas.
What a view. Well, we had a fantastic lunch at the Queen Wilhelmina State Park. That or we were just really hungry, I'm not sure. No, the food was really very good. First time I've ever actually eaten here, because usually I'm staying in Mina and you know, riding up here for the view, taking pictures, and then heading back to Mina. So it was kind of nice actually eating here at the lodge. Of course, they've got hiking trails and all kind of cool stuff, and said earlier it'd be a cool place to camp. So now we're fixing to head west, continue heading west on the Talamina National Scenic Byway, I think maybe the full name. Going to continue heading west, not too terribly far. We'll cross over into Oklahoma. I'll try to remember to stop at the state line for some more photo opportunities, and then continue on west a little ways and then start heading back south to the house. The only bad thing about living so far from the mountains, it took us, you know, over 7 hours to get here, ride around in the mountains for a little while, and then we've got the 7 to 8 hour ride back home. So when we were eating lunch, I said it's kind of like going to a theme park. You wait in line for an hour to ride a roller coaster that's over in 3 minutes. So we rode over 7 hours to ride just a little while in the mountains. Wait a minute, which way did we? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so this is how we came in. Got an old steam locomotive there. Those were fascinating machines. Warning, travel at your own risk, steep hills. Oh, here we go. I can't remember how far the Oklahoma state line is. I just don't remember it being very far. I would love to have spent several hours up here riding in the mountains, but we do have to ride back home. We all have activities tomorrow, so spending the night really not an option. Besides, we just planned this to be a long day ride to begin with. We weren't planning to do an overnighter. Here goes another Indian. Saw several Indians at the lodge. Of course, in our group there's 4 bikes, 2 Harleys and 2 Indians. Looked like almost a third of the bikes, at least 25% of the ones at the state park there were Indians. Of course, obviously Harley Davidson is the king when it comes to to big heavy motorcycles, and I've owned 6. I love both brands. Right now, of course, I'm on my Indian Roadmaster. Absolutely love it. Have no interest in getting rid of my Indian. Now at some point I hope to buy another Harley Davidson and have both brands. There was a while back I did have both a Harley and an Indian at the same time, which is kind of the best of both worlds. They both have their own unique little personalities, though, that's for sure. Of course, they're both the iconic American-made brands, both with storied past. Indian's past is a little more storied than Harley. Of course, Harley had the AMF years that were not the best time for Harley, but you know, they were in continuous production since their beginning. Can't really say that about Indian. But Indian's making a strong comeback under Polaris's leadership. So, you know, of course I own Indian, so I want the Indian brand to do well. So, as I said earlier, the weather ended up being fantastic. It's 72 degrees now when it got down into the 40s on the way up here. None of us were really prepared for it to be that cold. I don't think any of us really wore enough layers of clothes for that kind of temperature, because I can ride all day long in the 40s if I have, you know, enough layers on. So this will be a marathon day for all of us. Of course, a couple of the guys in our group, they've been to Sturgis. You know, they ride out, they'll ride to the Big Bend from Southeast Texas. They'll crush the miles in a day as well. So there's nothing quite like spending 10, 12 hours, 14 hours out on the open road. Of course, this time of year the daylight hours are getting shorter, so it'll get dark on us before we get home. We rode a couple hours in the dark to get here. We'll probably ride at least a couple hours or more in the dark before we arrive at home. But if you're going to travel this time of year, that's just part of it. I think we're about to roll up on the state line. My map on my navigation is showing a different color there and an actual bold line on the navigation, so I'm sure that's probably the state line. So of course my map will zoom out and zoom in on its own, so I can't always tell how far. Here's we're rolling up. I think this is going to be it. Let me see. I could be wrong, but pull over here and see. I didn't actually see the state sign, but I'm gonna walk down there to the road. I didn't want to blow by it. We'll see if this is the state line. Let's see if there's a welcome to Oklahoma sign. I just didn't want to blow by it. Of course, they obviously have another entrance because, well, maybe not. Yeah, it says something here. I know this has got to be the state line. And what does it say? Yep. Welcome to Oklahoma. We made it. Texas, Arkansas. And when we leave this little rest area, we'll be in Oklahoma. All right, I got a quick question. What did you think about the Oklahoma roads? Do you think they were as good as the Arkansas ones? Yeah, I thought they...
That bypass was a little bumpy.
I thought they were, boy, there was some pretty good curves in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. I don't ever think about Oklahoma and mountains, but they sure had them.
Yeah, they had them on that side.
Yeah, it was nice. Nice. Well, my battery died before we got home yesterday from the Arkansas-Oklahoma lunch ride, but we had a fantastic time. Did have a wide range of temperature. It got as cold as 48. We didn't anticipate that for the last day of September, when we've been having temperatures more like 98 degrees, but it was 48 degrees in the morning yesterday, warmed up to 88 on the way home, but got back down in the 60s last night. We had a fantastic time, left at 4 o'clock in the morning, got home at 10 o'clock last night, rode 800 miles yesterday. So that's the most miles I've done on this particular motorcycle. Before yesterday, my longest day was a couple of 650-mile days. So I had a great time. The bike did really well. It always does. I love my Indian Roadmaster, and I hope to do many more long rides. So thanks for joining us on this adventure. And remember, if you like to ride, ride as much as you can, because one day we're all going to be too old to ride.